Are you serious? Are you serious? All right, the press conference today, President Trump, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. Very warm, very friendly, 3 or 4 times shaking hands with each other, total in agreement. The Obama era is over. And apparently so is the two-state solution. Now, if you remember, in June of 2016, I was in Jerusalem. I went to Knesset. At the Knesset, I went into the office and met with Rabbi Yehuda Glick, a member of the Knesset. I told him that in Paris, France, there were 20 nations drafting a two-state solution that they wanted to bring to the United Nations to try to force on the nation of Israel. He slammed the desk in a television interview I was doing with him and said, no, the two-state solution, no more. I don't want to hear it. How can there be a marriage if there's no bridegroom and a bride? And he said, it's over. They had their chance. 1947, 1997, 2000. It's over. Well, I said to him, I hear what you're saying, but the United Nations is trying to draft it. They're trying to force it. No, he said. So, and they did. In December, they did. And Barack Obama, on December 23rd, did not veto the draft to put together some type of an arrangement to force a two-state solution. He let it go through the Security Council. They voted 14-0 to let it through. And so now 70 nations of the world just met a month ago in Paris, France. They were supposed to draft the two-state solution. But for some reason, they didn't. We don't know why. Everyone has been wondering. Now Benjamin Netanyahu shows up in Washington, D.C., and Trump says, you know, if you guys want to do a two-state solution, I'm fine with that. But he said, as far as I'm concerned, one state. Maybe we need just one state. Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed that. Maybe just one state. A strong Israeli state, working with everybody. And then Benjamin Netanyahu, we go into Bible prophecy. Netanyahu says, maybe a one-state Israel with a broader group of nations in conjunction with that. Trump then looks at him and says, I thought we weren't going to talk about that, but since you have, I'll go ahead. Trump says, that's right. A broader agreement that's more of the region. And then he says, a larger canvas with more participants and more nations coming together in a cooperative arrangement with Israel, strengthening a one Israel, not two-state solution. Folks, if you go to, look, everybody talks about the covenant of Daniel 9:27, which you should, because it leads to the abomination of desolation. And Jesus even says it's one of the end-time signs when you see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet. And we know that's in Daniel 9:27. It's a covenant with many, which leads to what Apostle Paul explains as the Antichrist walking into the third temple before the worshipers of God in the temple of God, declaring himself that he is God. I understand that. And we also know the third temple is going to be built. We even see the blueprints of it shown to John the Revelator in Revelation chapter 11. How it's a smaller version of the Solomon temple, and it doesn't have an outer court. And I've talked with Yehuda Glick. He used to be the president of the Temple Institute. I've been to the Temple Institute. I have seen the golden menorah. We have seen the golden shewbread table. We've seen the golden altar. We've seen the 7 silver trumpets, the high priest's garment, the breastplate, all of it that's ready to go into the third temple. Even Rabbi Yehuda Glick told me that the third temple could be built in 6 months. It's already prefabbed and ready to go. So having said that, we know that's coming. But when does it fit in? When does this start to happen? Well, one thing you got to do is what about Zechariah chapter 2, verse 11? We know about the original covenant that God has with Abraham in Genesis 12. How that the Lord said, I'll make a great nation out of you, and I'll bless them that bless you, and I'll curse him who curses you. Okay, we know about that covenant. We know about the covenant with many that leads to the abomination of desolation, Daniel 9:27. All right, we know about that covenant. We even know about Psalms 83, how that there's a confederacy, a group of nations that come together to try to destroy Israel in what's known as the Psalms 83 war. Okay, we know about that covenant, but do we know about the Zechariah 2:11 covenant? And I think we just heard the beginning of it today. Prophecy alert. Here's what happened. Trump started talking to Netanyahu about this large canvas, this broader canvas of nations coming together in cooperation with an Israel, strengthening Israel. Here's what it says in Zechariah chapter 2. Let's read verse 6. Now, you have to understand, you can't touch the apple of God's eye. And that goes along with the Abraham covenant of Genesis chapter 12, 1, 2, and 3. But listen to this. Verse 6. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, saith the Lord. That's talking about Israel. All you Jews, come on back home to the Holy Land. Get this. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoil you. For he that touches you toucheth the apple of his eye. All right, you don't want to do that. Then look at verse 9. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants, and ye shall know that the Lord of hosts has sent me. So if you touch the apple of God's eye, if you come against Israel, God will shake his hand at you, and you'll become servants to the people that live in your land. Then look at verse 10. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And then look at verse 11. Here's the covenant. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee. And thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts has sent me unto thee. So it's many nations coming together to make a stronger nation of Israel. And then here we go. Listen to this, verse 12. And the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. All right. So we have a covenant here of many nations coming together to join in with the Lord, with the nation of Israel. And this is what we just heard in a press conference today. We just heard Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Donald Trump, talking about the Zechariah 2:11 covenant. You don't hear much about it. You do hear about Genesis 12. You do hear about the Daniel 9:27. We do hear about Psalms 83. And there's even there's several more covenants. I can tell you another one in Isaiah 19, where there's going to be a highway between Egypt to Assyria, and it includes Israel. And the three of them will come together and make a highway, and a blessing will be upon all three nations. That's another covenant. We haven't seen that yet, but we're hearing that the beginning of building the highway itself is already in process. Something to talk about. So anyway, are we getting ready to see, is Jared Kushner going to participate? Will Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and then Trump says these words, there are nations I've already talked to who are willing to do this arrangement. Nations you wouldn't think are already on board. He never said who. I'm going to guess. Jordan? I think so. Egypt? I think so. Saudi Arabia? I think so. Others? I think so. Because the Sunnis, listen, Saudi Arabia, they want protection against Iran, because the Iranians are Shiites with an end-time eschatology, a theology of the apocalypse, and they want war with the Sunnis. And Israel, they want to destroy. There could be a coalition between Muslim nations with Israel in conjunction with the United States and other nations, like the British, like the Canadians, like the Australians, like many other nations, in the Zechariah 2:11 covenant. Just saying, prophecy alert. That covenant has not been fulfilled yet, and I think we just heard the beginning of it starting. We'll watch very closely. Know this, the enemies of Israel will rise up when they hear that this is the covenant that's being worked on. They will rise up with the most wickedness they can and try to supersede this covenant with Psalms 83. Remember, the Bible says when they say peace and safety, then cometh sudden destruction. Give your life to Jesus Christ. We're running out of time. He's coming soon. The Bible is coming to playing out prophecy right before your very eyes. Give your life to Jesus Christ.